So TikTok is my first topic this week. It's something that I love to have new things to play with and learn, etc. I thought about TikTok for a long time. I knew there was this thing. I'd kind of ignored it for a long time because I don't dance. And actually, that was the thing for a while, and then it was fads. And I was trying to figure out actually for the business, what's relevant, because likewise, what I didn't want to do is I don't think long form content like this works on TikTok, because when you actually watch people use the platform, they hold their phone and they swipe, 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 like swipe, swipe, swipe. So you have to catch people's attention. And it was that balance of where arguably it could even be 1 second, but essentially I think you get 2 seconds to make an engagement, try and get some sort of interaction. And the hope is that over time, you put out stuff where people actually quite enjoy following your channel, because you might spark a little bit of imagination or whichever. But it's really difficult to do that with what I class as quality business content. And I'd really struggled with what to do. So again, I love to consume stuff as well. So on YouTube, I was watching, it was the Chloe Clover Wonder Films podcast, and she was interviewing a guy called Phil Teasdale from a business that he runs called Enterprise Made Simple. And he was talking about, both in promotion of his book, but also for other stuff, how he'd been on TikTok for, I think, for about a year, but actually how it was really good and really kind of worthwhile. And when something's been niggling away at you for a while, but you hadn't really just pulled the trigger to just do it, that video made me think, you know what, I need to do it. Separate to this, in other conversations to do with this other stuff we were looking at for the channel, basically one of the ideas that came up was something called Vox Pops, where basically you go out on the street and you ask people's opinions on different stuff. And the truth is, I actually even had branded microphones made up. And on Tuesday, no, it was Wednesday afternoon, so 2 days ago, I had all this stuff. I had the branded microphones. I went into the city centre of Newcastle with the plan to film some of these Vox Pops. And what I wanted to do for TikTok was actually interview people and create interesting content, because people always want to know what the public thinks. And the whole point of what we were trying to do with that is that with the roadmap, it's about making business education accessible, but also making it accessible to real people. So real people with real opinions that isn't always what you see in the media. And the truth is, so I went into Newcastle, I went to there's a big thing called Monument, which is right in the centre of town. And I kind of bottled it. I knew, my gut feel was people wouldn't want to talk on camera and it wasn't going to work. So, we're often kind of aiming for a Gen Z type audience. So what I then did was went up towards the church at the top of Northumberland Street to speak to students. There was a bit where I then kind of, I won't bore you with it, but there was a nice enclave where I could set up. I even had an A-board made where you could slip in sheets that said 20-second interviews for TikTok and what the topic was, with the idea being that people could walk past, they see someone on a microphone, they're never going to talk to them. But if they see in advance what the topic is, and it could be, what do you think about Gary Lineker's tweet? It could be, what do you think about the war in Ukraine, climate change, student debt, whichever. And I learned really, really quickly, I mean like in minutes, that this was a bad idea. So then what I decided to do, hi James, thanks in the podcast, thanks from the comments as well. And then what I decided to do, you occasionally need to know when something just isn't going to work. And I knew it wasn't going to work. So what I did was basically pack up, went home, and on the drive back, or basically on the walk back to the car, I was trying to think through actually what can I do? I still want to play with the concept of asking people questions, but I need for TikTok to be creating content every day. And actually, when you edit a video, it takes a really long time. And I just didn't think it was doable. And again, I hadn't really used TikTok, but you can also ask questions and do polls on TikTok. So what I decided, that when I got back to the office a little bit deflated, I still had all these printed out questions that I was going to ask people on the street. So what I decided to do was cut them up, cut out a piece of paper, stick them in different places around the office, and actually film a 2-second, 5-second video that pans onto the question, but put on the music, put on the poll, put on the question. But actually now, hopefully, and it might still bomb, I've got a way to engage with people, hopefully get some connection there. I can ask questions and ask the questions I want, but do it in a way where people don't mind clicking a button to say yes or no, or would you prefer to be rich or famous, rich or famous? But the idea is, it's that thing of when people scroll, within 2 seconds, they will both see the question and they see 2 elements of Roadmap MBA branding, one in the question bit and one where our little icon is. in the like video, you'll see some subtle stuff, like you might see a pan across the book or whichever. But actually then you've got the audio of like the voice over AI thing, reading out the question, and then the button. But the idea is, what I wanted to try and do was create 2-second content for TikTok, which still achieves the goal of asking real people's opinions on questions, and we can make them really topical stuff based on what's happened in the media kind of that day. But actually I can do it really quickly, if that makes sense. And I just wanted to share about how I think I'm actually quite good at knowing how to make content that lasts an hour. And what I do is I clip this up and it'll go into several 6-minute videos, which each go into YouTube. So I've kind of got YouTube under control. I know how to do images and branding and stuff for Instagram. But this again comes down to the channel strategy, that for different channels of what you broadcast on, you need to produce different content. And then for TikTok, just acknowledging that people, they're brutal, just boof, boof, boof. You need to catch people straight away. So for me, asking people questions is something I wanted to talk about. We will wait and see if it ever takes off. I think at the moment I have 12 followers. I've done 4 posts. One was this morning, so it's still mega new. Phil gave me the advice to basically do 1 a day for, I don't know, the first few weeks, then start to ramp it up. And I think once you've kind of proved that you're going to be consistent and you're a real person, hopefully the engagement improves. But what I wanted to do just in this short video was to explain our new approach to TikTok, what we're going to try and do. But also I'd genuinely love to know for you, have you tried it? Are you on it? What other platforms have you tried? Technically with our Insta360, we're also getting into the AR, VR space for our content at the same time. So yes, we're getting quite ambitious for what we're trying to do. It might all fail, I don't know, but I would genuinely love to know. So if you catch us on YouTube or LinkedIn or Twitter or Facebook or any of the other platforms, please drop me a comment. I genuinely would love to know.